Hola a todos! Today we are going to begin our unit on the differences between the preterite and the imperfect. Before I outline what those differences are, we're going to look at some different verbs and we're going to see how their meaning changes as they go from the imperfect into the preterite. To start, when we look at conocer, remember that conocer is to know with heart knowledge. So this meaning stays the same in the imperfect. We say that it means to know, and that's all our heart thing. So we would say, en aquella época conocíamos muy bien la ciudad. So at that time, we knew the city well. We were familiar with the city. However, as we move into the preterite, we say that conocer means to meet. Por ejemplo, yo conocí a Alejandra. I met Alejandra 5 years ago. If I had said conocía a Alejandra, that's like I used to know Alejandra. Next, for querer. Querer means to want, and it keeps this meaning in the imperfect. So it's like I used to want, or you used to want. So we would say Kevin quería comprar la casa. Kevin wanted to buy the house. However, as we move into the preterite, that becomes to try. So you would say Samantha quiso comprar la casa. Samantha tried to buy the house, implying that she was not able to. Next, we have no querer. It's the opposite. So we would say in the imperfect tense, it's to not want to do something. So you would say Joyce no quería comprar la casa. Joyce did not want to buy the house. However, as we move into the preterite tense becomes to refuse to do something. So if we were to say Andrew no quiso comprar la casa, that's he refused to buy the house. Moving on, we have saber. Saber means to know, and this is like head knowledge, facts and stuff. So we could say Khalil sabía que Adam llegaba. Khalil knew that Adam was arriving. However, as we move into the preterite tense, that knew becomes found out. So if we said John lo supo ayer, that's John found that out yesterday. We have two more. Poder means to be able to. So in the imperfect tense that someone was able to do something. For example, we could say Katie podía participar en la manifestación. Katie was able to participate in the demonstration. However, as we move from the imperfect into the preterite, to be able to becomes to succeed. So if we said Roberto pudo levantar la mesa, that means he succeeded in lifting the table. He could and he did do it. Finally, tener in the imperfect is to have. So we would say Jolene tenía un coche nuevo. Jolene used to have a new car. However, as we move into the preterite tense, that have gets a receiving implication. So we would say Hunter tuvo una carta de su mamá, and that more implies that he received a letter from his mom. Now, if I were here in front of you, you would see me doing some actions whenever I talk about the imperfect, and my hand goes like this, like it spins on and on and on, as if you're talking about a story. Because remember, the imperfect is for things you used to do, things that were ongoing. This is in contrast with the preterite. Whenever I talk about the impreterite, I'm like snapping my fingers. I did this. This is because the preterite is for your ed endings, for your did things. These are for completed actions, basically. So generally, So each of our imperfect things, these are kind of ongoing. They don't have a clear ending. To know something, to want something, to be able to do something. Those don't have a clear ending. However, in the preterite tense, these do. You meet someone. That's like a clear one and done thing. You tried and then you failed, or you refused to do something. That's all one and done. It's got a clear ending to it. This is because when we talk about the preterite tense is used for actions in the past that are completed. When they're completed, that means that that action has a clear or a definite beginning or a definite ending. If you had the imperfect tense, the imperfect, remember, is like ongoing kinds of things. It's used for actions in the past that are seen as ongoing. They keep going on and on and on. So when you use the imperfect tense, that implies that the action did not have a definite a definite beginning or a definite end. We'll say a clear, no, we'll go with definite end. So preterite is like a snap because it's one and done. The imperfect is like an ongoing thing. For example, if we also wanted to look at like entender, for example, entendí is like I understood, I realized, I got, like in that moment, it came to my mind. I suddenly understood it. That's more like I realized. But entendía is, I understood, I used to comprehend this, I was able to understand. That's more like I understood. So if we look at these two sentences right here, we've got one in the preterite and one in the imperfect. If we say estudié 2 horas, I studied for 2 hours. If estudiaba antes de los exámenes, that's I used to study before the test. Like it's a thing, a habit that I used to have instead of, yesterday I studied and now I'm done. So to sum up reasons that we use the preterite versus the imperfect, remember the preterite is going to be all things that you snap and they're done. And the imperfect is going to be for things that are ongoing. To help us remember reasons when we use the preterite and the imperfect, we use 2 words. The first one is Simba, and the second one is cheated. These are acronyms to help us remember when to use the preterite and when to use the imperfect. Now remember, the preterite is all about completed actions, things that you snap and they're done. So you could use it for a single action. You use the preterite for an interruption. You use the preterite for the main event. Get it? Because Simba, the main event. You use the preterite to say when something began, or like an inciting incident, a beginning action. And you also use the preterite to signal arrivals and departures. In the coming days, we will be using these in context. Just want you to have them on your arsenal right now. So, preterite is all about a single action, an interruption. Use the preterite to communicate the main event of your story. Use the preterite when something starts or when something ends. And then use the preterite when someone arrives or leaves. Finally, in contrast with the preterite, which is all about completed actions. For the imperfect, remember the imperfect is all about ongoing actions. Ongoing actions include characteristics and descriptions. So describing what someone was like. We use the imperfect to talk about someone's health. Were they sick? Were they well? How were they feeling? Speaking of how they're feeling, we also use the imperfect to talk about someone's emotion, their age, what time it was. Also, if there are any endless activities, something without a clear ending. Endless activities, also habits, things you used to do a lot. And finally, if you want to communicate the date, you would use the imperfect as well. So here are our reasons of when we use the preterite and the imperfect. Remember, we are just getting our feet wet, and we're going to dive deeper into the subject on the coming days. In summary, the preterite you use for completed actions, the imperfect you use for ongoing actions, and then we use them both to talk about the past tense. These are two kinds of past tenses in Spanish, and we're going to talk about the difference in the coming days. Enjoy your homework.